Greetings. So I was making another video when I saw that the New York Attorney General and the state of New York have responded to Valve's motion to dismiss the current ongoing lawsuit between New York Attorney General and Valve Corporation. They released a 44-page, I believe, document, so we're going to just go through and read this bitch and, hopefully just, dispel everything they say. By the way, Letitia James, I stole one of your signs, bitch. Do something about it. Oh, wait, you can't. Statute of limitations. All right, anyway. Wait, hold on. Let's make sure I'm covered here. Capital offenses, terrorism, sex offenses against children, treason and espionage. All right, let's read this. All right, preliminary statement. Valve Corporation, Valve, a video game developer and publisher, has built a multi-billion-dollar business by embedding illegal gambling in its most popular video game franchises. The company charges users, many of whom are children, $249 plus tax to open a virtual container known as a loot box that randomly awards those users a virtual item. And then C, first amended complaint, which is their first lawsuit that they purported in March. Despite having no in-game functionality, these virtual items have real-world value, with the rarest items worth thousands of dollars. This is by design. Valve intentionally built its platform to enable users to sell the items they have won, either through the virtual marketplace Valve operates, the Steam Community Market, the Steam... oh, that says that right there. Or through third-party marketplaces that Valve actively fosters. Now, again, this is a preliminary statement, so they don't have to back up their claims here. But immediately a few things stand out here, many of whom are children. If we're coming at this from the perspective of New York Attorney General, New York, the United States, anecdotally at least, does not have a younger fan base that plays Counter-Strike. Right, this is happening outside with the Pokemon cards and the fucking... Because using children as a, victim here would be useful in Europe. Now, obviously, because Valve doesn't like to take the personal information of their users, by force, right? That's why they don't have, the kernel-level anti-cheat. I guess it would be hard to prove this. But again, it would also be hard to prove that many of them are children. We'll do a deeper dive on Twitch later. SteamDB got an update, so let's go check that out when the time comes after you watch this video. And you will watch this video, and then you will go over there after the video's done. 7 p.m. Eastern, or 5 and 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's when I'll start the stream. I know that they address this later on, but currently, since we're on this first paragraph, these virtual items having real-world value technically wouldn't apply to Steam because we know that they put in their bylaws or whatever the fuck it's called that they're, Steam funds cannot be taken off of Steam, so on and so forth. Right? The actual real-world value comes from users trading and then trading money underneath. The third-party marketplaces that NYAG would be talking about here would be like bots, like Skinport, I believe, has a website that's bots, like the trading bot websites. Those would be the ones NYAG would be attacking. Sites like CS Float are peer-to-peer, right? So even if you get rid of the middleman here, which would be CS Float, Valve has said numerous times they're not getting rid of trading, and if you're not going to get rid of trading, you can't really get rid of real-world value. If anything, outlawing this takes away any chance you have of selling skins a taxable event. Nearly every user who pays to open a loot box receives an item that is commonplace and worth pennies. Now, as we know, the items that they're referring to are the blues. Those make up 80% of every single case opened. And the worth pennies part is interesting because Valve does not set these payouts, right? The interesting thing about Valve's economy is that it works as an economy. So when you open a case and you get an item that's worth 10 cents, Valve did not set the price of that item to be 10 cents. What they did was give you a random blue weapon. For all they care, that blue could be worth $500. If it's able to sustain the incoming supply and remain at that price, then so be it. But the market decides what the prices of all of the skins are, not Valve. So I don't know how that's an argument. So on the surface, that doesn't really seem like a foolproof argument. I wouldn't worry about that one if I was Valve. I know they should be taking advice from me, obviously, a moron sitting here. Anyone who actually wanted such an item can obtain it for far more cheaply, again, for pennies, by purchasing it through a marketplace. The only reason users pay to open a loot box is the potential of winning a valuable skin. Now, again, this first argument is very, reductive. Anyone who wanted such an item can obtain it for more cheaply, again, by purchasing it through a marketplace. Well, how did it get on the marketplace in the first place? It needs to be opened. It needs to be supplied. And the market determines the price. So, again, are we gambling here? I understand it's chance-based, but the payout is not determined by Valve. It's determined by the other people in the market. You don't have to sell your item if you don't want to at that price point if you deem it not worth it. And the marketplace wouldn't exist without the cases in the first place, so they're not mutually exclusive. They depend on one another. And oftentimes, if you are supplying an item that is not supplied well enough in that marketplace, you're going to be compensated for it in terms of positive return on your spending of time, right? It's why when you open a case when they're brand new, typically you receive a high payout, and that's why people are very apt to save up and wait for those, times in which things drop. So again, I'm not sure about this argument here, first off. Valve's loot box model, charging an individual for a chance to win something of value based on luck alone, is quintessential gambling prohibited under Article 1, Section 9 of New York's Constitution and Sections 225.05 and 225.10 of the Penal Law. Let's bring those up. Games of chance. Following category is commonly known as bingo or lotto, in which prizes are awarded on the basis of designated numbers or symbols on a card conforming to numbers or symbols selected at random. Games in which prizes are awarded on the basis of a winning number, color, or symbols, result of spinning a wheel, a drawing, or otherwise by chance. Guilty of promoting gambling in the second degree when he knowingly advances or profits from unlawful gambling activity. Okay, so that kind of is predicated upon them proving this. Engaging in bookmaking to the extent that he receives or accepts in any day more than 5 bets totaling more than $5,000. Again, they would have to prove these are bets that people are making when opening cases. More than $500 in any one day of money played in such scheme or enterprise. So again, I guess if they could prove that it's betting, then they can prove that there's more than $500 per person, and then they can move on. But again, they would have to prove that they're betting, and again, how are you going to prove the real-world money thing? Valve nonetheless asked this court to hold this multi-billion-dollar ecosystem of randomized rewards that, by design, have real-world value is outside the scope of New York's gambling prohibitions. See generally Valve motion to dismiss memorandum. Valve's scattershot theories for dismissal do not survive scrutiny. First, Valve's attempt to characterize this action as criminalizing vast categories of products, so-called mystery boxes, that are not at issue in this litigation must be rejected. The FAC includes particularized allegations regarding Valve's loot box, including the monetary losses most users incur when they pay to open one, the financial windfalls infrequently bestowed upon yucky users, and Valve's direct involvement in developing marketplaces that enable winners to immediately convert their virtual items to cash, gaming hardware, and other video games. Other products not mentioned in the FAC, which, in any event, likely do not share these attributes, have no bearing on Valve's conduct and cannot properly be considered on a motion to dismiss.
Skins.com is the newest sponsor on our channel. They have just released a P2P trading platform looking to compete with the best players in the space. If you don't want to wait that long, they do have an insta-sell feature on the site in which the rates are the best I've seen, just straight up. When the market is down, everything is on sale, and with the deals you're getting on skins.com, you could start your position basically up 20 to 25%. Try out skins.com and be a part of the future of CS2 skin trading.
Alright, well, I mean, if Valve is comparing their items to like Pokemon cards and things of the sort, right? For them to say that these are not, at least very similar items that cannot be, taken into account here, it's got to be patently false, right? I mean, there is a reselling market of all of these cards and shit that children are subject to falling for and falling into. I guess their development of the marketplace is their issue here, which I guess is their best angle so far. However, again, Steam funds do not convert to real-world money under any circumstance. You could buy a real-world item with it, but it's an item within the Steam ecosystem. You can't buy a, fucking Oculus headset, whatever. You can only buy Steam items. It just happens to be physical. I think this definitely does have bearing on Valve's conduct because, the fact that Steam community market funds are not real money. A Pokemon card is, frequently being instantly liquidated into real-world money. Third, Valve's strained reading of New York's gambling prohibitions runs contrary to their purpose to outlaw all forms of gambling not specifically authorized. It is also counter to their plain meaning. The FAC alleges that Valve charges users for their chance to win valuable virtual items that could be immediately sold on a resale market. False. Escrow, 14 days. You're looking at least 16 days to liquidate your item. You can argue gambling is a pretty instant gratification type thing, and then having your winnings be held for 16 days is not. I don't know if that's it can hold any weight, but regardless. Users therefore clearly stake or risk something of value upon the outcome of a contest of chance or a future contingent event, upon an agreement or understanding that they will receive something of value in the event of a certain outcome. Again, really the same argument here. You can't allege that Valve created these virtual items when they do not set the price whatsoever for these items. They have started to set the price for some items with the terminals and the new cologne stickers. However, you're knowing what you're buying before you're buying them, therefore it doesn't fall under any gambling scrutiny. Users therefore clearly stake or risk something of value upon the outcome of a contest of chance or a future contingent event. Risking something of value is predicated upon Valve setting the value of these things. Again, it's set by the community, it's set by the market, therefore it's really, how can you really classify this as gambling? Second of all, with how Valve does these things, they typically do work as collectibles. So in time, things go up. I mean, everyone has seen the price of cases, right? I'm sure every single person who's had items just laying around in their inventory has gone back to look at them one day and saw it gone up, a couple $100s, right? So it's not like they're purposefully trying to keep the value of things low. It's determined by the market. And then once Valve discontinues them, things usually become valuable over time. Because Valve's conduct falls squarely within New York's gambling prohibitions. Vagueness challenges do not turn on whether courts have previously considered the specific facts at issue, or else new schemes that clearly fall within statutory prohibitions would always escape scrutiny. New York's gambling prohibitions also do not implicate the First Amendment because they regulate conduct, not speech. In arguing otherwise, Valve effectively posits that a business may evade New York's gambling prohibitions by simply awarding a prize that reflects speech, a contention as dangerous as it is dubious. Valve's separation of powers argument has it backwards, as the doctrine grants the Attorney General great flexibility when fulfilling her mandate to protect New Yorkers. And Valve's other constitutional agreements are equally baseless. The court should deny Valve's motion to dismiss. All right, here's the statement of facts. Valve is a video game developer and publisher. Its video game franchises, Counter-Strike, Team Fortress, and Dota, are incredibly popular, having attracted hundreds of millions of players. Despite being free to play, these franchises are remarkably lucrative because Valve developed another means of monetizing the game: gambling. First off, Prime status. Done. I'm talking about Counter-Strike here. I don't give a fuck about the other games. Counter-Strike has Prime status. You're basically not playing the game without Prime status. The fact that we're not mentioning this is just, disingenuous. Clearly, Valve makes a ton of money from Prime status. Valve sells users a chance to win valuable virtual items through a virtual container known as a loot box. The fact is correct that you have a chance to win a valuable virtual item, but again, you have a chance to win a item deemed valuable by the market. Valve does not set these prices themselves. There are things in place to keep prices steady, right? You have the trade-ups, right? A trade-up, for example, right? Right, you take 10 pinks and you get 1 red. Cool. Right? If the red is $500, then the pinks have to be at least $50, right? Because if the pinks were $45, well, then you'll just do an infinite amount of $450 trade-ups and get a $500 item plus $50 every time, right? So people do that, and eventually prices move upwards of the pinks. price move downward on the red until they reach an equilibrium point, right? It may seem on the surface that Valve controls the prices somewhat by setting their drop rates, but the one at the top, the red, the knives, the things that you could trade up to, these are purely valued by the community and determine the price by the community, right? A knife has a 1 in 400 chance of being dropped, roughly. I think it's 385. It's 0.26% of the time you get a knife, right? So if you have a 1 in 400 chance, right, at $2.50 per key, you're looking at an $1,000 expected cost per knife, right? The fact that knives, carry a $50 value sometimes, maybe even lower nowadays, means that the market is setting the prices. And if the market's setting the prices here at $50, then the reds don't really have any floor to lay on, and then the pinks don't have any floor to lay on, and then the purples are at fucking 5 cents. So, again, yes, the trade-ups keep value there and they keep floor values there, but all of those floor values are predicated upon the top of that pyramid, right? The red or the knife, depending on what collection you're looking at, for example. So, again, this is a fucking devious fact. When opened, the user is randomly rewarded one of several dozen virtual items, typically referred to as skins. That's what they're called, bitch. Despite having no in-game functionality, skins can be extremely valuable. Skins have value due to deliberate decisions Valve has made in the design of its games and platform. Unlike many other video game developers, Valve enables users to sell the skins they have won either through Valve's own virtual marketplace, the Steam Community Market, or through third-party cash marketplaces. In Valve's own words, its goal is to provide customers with a way to sell any unwanted goods to other players. In addition, Valve has made some skins far harder to win than others, awarding them only infrequently when a loot box is opened. Skins that are awarded frequently are worth pennies, but rare skins can be worth thousands of dollars. Again, pennies, items that are worth pennies are decided by the market. Items that are worth thousands of dollars are also determined by the market. Right? You can't really take away peer-to-peer trading, like CS Float. Or something like that, right? Because you can't. Nearly every user that buys a key and opens a loot box receives a skin that is commonplace. Anyone who actually wanted that item could obtain it far more cheaply, for pennies, by purchasing it through a marketplace. The reason users purchase a key and open a loot box is to gamble. Valve has even designed the experience of opening its most popular loot boxes to look like the spin of a slot machine. Now, the spin animation, I guess, is just a problem that, whatever, they can have their win there. But again, the items are worth pennies because there's a bunch of cases being opened, right? A bunch of cases are being opened, and because of that, 80% of all cases result in blues, right? And there's typically 7 blues within a case. So let's say if you open 10 million cases, right? 8 million of them are going to be blues, and then you split it amongst 7 blues, so that's 1,130,000 roughly blues of each blue. So yes, price trends downward over time, but they do not set the price of this, right? Again, if you have an M4 that's a blue and a Negev that's a blue, right? This will probably go for 4 cents. This will probably go for maybe 50 cents or something like that. But again, these prices are not set by Valve. They make this point that if you want to, you could just go to the community market and buy it, but the cases have to be opened first, right? You can't just go to the marketplace and buy shit as soon as the case comes out. People need to open the cases, people need to sell their items, and what's deemed valuable will go up or stay steady. The things that are deemed not valuable will trend downwards over time. If you really wanted to get Valve for this, Valve would have to sell the case skins individually, right? You have a P2000 and you would sell it for 15 cents, then you can have an M4 and sell it for $1, and then you offer a case with these items in it, right? Such that you have an 80% chance of getting the P2000, and then a 15% chance of getting an M4, and then a 5% chance of the super rare knife or whatever, for example. But you have the prices set here, right? So maybe if they make it such that the case expected value-wise, it's better to open the case than to just buy one of these skins outright, then you could maybe, hit them for what they're doing. But since they only provide the skins through the cases, people have to open the cases to supply the marketplace that keeps the ecosystem going. And because skins have such unique characteristics, such as, 1,000 patterns, the float being different for pretty much every skin, you can't really call any item commonplace when every single item is its own unique thing. The spin of the slot machine, whatever. Take it away. No one fucking cares about it. Valve also ensures that skins can be readily converted into cash or goods. Now, the goods part is the Steam Deck and the Steam Machine shit. I don't know how hard that would be to actually prove that this is a way of converting your skins into cash, especially when you're dealing with thousands of dollar items and your Steam wallet limit is $2,000. So, I mean, I don't know how far they get with that argument alone. The fact that it could be readily converted into cash, as we know, is pretty easy to do. But from Valve's perspective, all they see is when you use something like CS Float and you trade your item to someone and then they send you the money on the CS Float website, what's really happening there is a trade, right? The money has nothing to do with Valve. The transaction has nothing to do with Valve. The money has nothing to do with Valve. From what they see, you're just trading items. So the fact that they're fostering these websites, okay. Can you ban the bot websites? Sure. But they said they're steadfast on not, removing trading. So how are you going to get rid of peer-to-peer trading? You just get rid of the CS Float website, you get rid of these middlemen, and then the problem solved. I mean, people are still going to buy the shit with cash, whether they want to or not. Into the argument. Again, they repeat a lot of the same stuff. The rationale for that standard is particularly compelling here, as there's good reason to believe the products are not so similar as Valve contends. They're talking about other mystery boxes that Valve speaks about in their motion to dismiss. For example, most skins Valve awards are worth pennies, but lucky users can win incredibly valuable ones. Again, this feels like an argument very easy to just completely destroy if you're Valve. There is no reason to assume that likelihood of financial loss and potential for significant gains exists with many of the mystery box Valves list. We know this to be completely patently false. If they can go ahead and look at CS Float, they can go ahead and go on eBay and take a look at literally any other physical blind box or grab bag or box subscription. Likewise, Valve designed its games and platform to enable users to sell the virtual items they have won through both its Steam Community Market and third-party cash marketplaces. And again, the reason why you have to go on eBay and you have to go on these other websites is because the community, the market, the buyers set the prices here, right? If you have a 1 in 10,000 Pokemon card, but no one fucking wants it, well, too bad. It's going to be worth dick, right? And that's the argument that they're using here, essentially, to simultaneously make Valve guilty and then make the other ones not guilty. I imagine the reason is because you can't tax skins as easily. Obviously, it's a digital asset, therefore it's subject to more scrutiny. Likewise, Valve designed its games and platform to enable users to sell the virtual items they have won through both its Steam Community Market and third-party cash marketplaces. As Valve's own case makes clear, the virtual items from many other loot boxes cannot be sold or transferred through a market created or facilitated by the defendant. Valve created the Steam Community Market with the $2,000 limits, and then them simultaneously claiming that you can buy items for thousands and thousands of dollars. I don't see the Steam Community Market being the real source of contention here. It's going to be the third-party marketplaces and how they attack that angle, which is going to really set this case forward if you're New York AG. In terms of peer-to-peer trading, Valve can't really be held liable there for sites like CS Float. For bot websites, I guess, but again, they're just trading. You're not really seeing the movement of funds, right? It's kind of hard to have a paper trail when they're not physical items. So this will probably be the most interesting part of the lawsuit, facilitated by the defendant, third-party marketplaces. Users stake of risk something of value. OAG alleges that users stake or risk something of value when they pay to open loot boxes with Steam Wallet funds. Valve nonetheless disputes this because users received exactly what they bargained for. And that's technically true, they buy a key. And because users don't risk anything by spending Steam Wallet funds to open loot boxes, right? I mean, your money's not yours anymore. It technically belongs to Steam once it's on the Steam wallet. And B, you're not buying a random item, you're buying a key, which then opens a case in-game that gives you a random item. No possibility of forfeiture of loss. Correct, because it has investment value. This argument is legally and factually untenable. I don't see how that's possible. Publicly disclosed odds, but with no set value. There are things with better value that have better odds to be received, right? I think the best example of that would be the AK case hardened fucking whatever pattern StatTrak Factory New, which was like $1 million, over $1 million, and then you have like a black pearl minimal wear knife, which would probably be the rarest thing to get in the game. And these have the worst payouts. I mean, no one fucking wants that thing. It's rare. It's structurally rare, but it's not better to get. It has to be tenable. This argument is tenable because you're not risking anything technically when you're opening a case. You're simply not. You don't actually realize your loss until it's lost because you're not receiving an item with a value. You're receiving an asset in a way. First, courts have not required a possibility of loss, whereas here an individual provides consideration for a chance to win something of value. In Black North Associates Incorporation v. Kelly, for example, the appellate division found that a vending machine had dispensed both a prepaid phone card and a game piece entitling users to prizes was gambling. I mean, it's interesting precedents, but like the prepaid phone market and the game piece market, are we really gonna equate this to these skins that see, you know, thousands and hundreds of thousands of transactions enacted upon them every single day? Like, we have stock charts, like things go up here. These are appreciating assets, and you get every single one of these things basically out of cases or collections or some form of chance. How are we going to equate these two things? Face value movie tickets that made them eligible for prize drawing. This is a very all or nothing thing. With opening a case, you get something. With a prize drawing, you don't necessarily get anything, right? It's more like a raffle, I imagine. I'm obviously didn't read this case. I'm not going to. Even if the law requires the possibility of loss, OAG clearly alleges it. Again, we've been through this a million times. The price is not set by Valve. Court of a scheme where consumers purchased candy packages that included tickets for the chance to win silverware. While a consumer got some real value for the candy, it was so much less than the price that he paid, that he would not have been likely to pay for that sum of it, but for the chance. Well, first off, you allege initially that users can just go to the marketplace and pay for these items, but instead they go and gamble instead. And now you're saying that, and now you're using this court order in which people aren't likely to be able to afford the silverware that they want, so they buy the candy bar instead. So now you're alleging that people don't have the money to pay for these things, so they're forced to gamble. Here, it's completely different, because you just alleged earlier that they can afford it. And if you really wanted to equate these two things, I guess you would have to... This silverware case, you would probably need every single person to get guaranteed a piece of silverware, right? Because here you're getting a piece of candy plus a potential piece of silverware. A case just offers a key and a skin, right? So like you're not guaranteed two items. I don't really know how this one's a great precedence. The other one's a better chance at proving them correctly. I mean, they just continue to harp on this point that skins are not worth anything for the grand majority of them, and we know that to be true, but again, we are setting these prices ourselves, the market. Right? It's not like you're opening a case and you're getting a blue and it's guaranteed to be $1, right? And it's a purple is guaranteed to be $5 and a pink's guaranteed to be $50, etc. What you're getting is what the market deems it to be. You can get a pink that's worth $25. You can get a pink that's worth $1.5 million, like the AK case hardened. So I don't really understand what we're talking about here. And you always get something of value. When you gamble, theoretically, hypothetically, you would get nothing back in some cases. You would lose. You don't technically lose anything. You're buying a skin for $250, a base price of $250. Again, they seem to harp on this same point of skins being worth something of value. You could buy things with skins by liquidating it into cash. But the cash value is set by the community. So if they wanted to, every single item from every single case could be worth over $2.50. Then, since there is literally no risk of loss, I don't really understand how it can be gambling. right? If the prices were set by Valve, then yes, then I think you have a case for gambling. But again, Valve has nothing to do with setting prices here. Valve offers you a key for $250, you buy the key and you get a skin. A skin has a value that is deemed by someone else, right? And again, we're talking floor prices. I just hadn't previously thought of this point. But like, what about a pattern-based skin, right? It has a floor price. A pattern-based skin has a floor price. You can get a 5/7 Kami for $9 in factory new, but if you get the fucking vagina pattern, I know that's not really going to help my case in court maybe, but that's like $1,000. Like, but that's completely determined by what people want and what the people value. The floor price is $9. Some people are paying $1,000 for it though. You understand what I'm saying? So how are you calling this gambling? You can't really call anything chance. You are literally getting just a skin, and the percentage chance of getting each and every individual skin doesn't really matter when each individual skin is predicated upon demand, right? You're working with an asset here. I don't think you're working with like poker chips. Skins are not poker chips. Skins are assets, right? They appreciate, they depreciate, they go up and down and sideways. These are assets. You have to classify them as assets, right? We can't really treat this as gambling winnings. You don't lose anything. I don't know. Those are my thoughts. Love to hear what you guys have to think. Letitia, come get it. Peace.